So, Ramadan's over. You've celebrated Eid, the family gatherings are done, but now what? How do you hold on to that incredible feeling, that light you worked so hard for all month? You know, to really get into this, I want to start with a story. And this one, it might just change how you see your own good deeds forever.
Okay, I want you to picture this guy. For 500 years, he does nothing but worship. He's on a mountaintop, totally isolated, and for all that time, he doesn't commit a single sin. Not one. Sounds like the perfect resume for paradise, right? Well, his story takes a turn you are not going to expect. I mean, really let that number sink in. 500 years. That's longer than most countries have been around. Generations of people were born, lived their lives, and died, all while this one man was just praying, nonstop. So you can imagine he probably felt pretty good about his chances, right?
So, fast forward to the day of judgment. God tells him, all right, you can enter paradise. Go on in, through my mercy. But the man, well, he's feeling a little proud of that 500-year track record. He says, actually, Lord, I'd rather get in based on my work. Let's weigh my deeds. He wanted to see the scoreboard, you know? He wanted the credit. And so outcome, in that one moment, everything just clicked for him. It was shattering. He realized he hadn't even earned the price of his own eyesight, let alone everything else. And totally humbled, he finally gets it. He says, oh Lord, okay, enter me into paradise through your mercy and your mercy alone. You see, this story, it leads to a pretty scary question for you and me. I mean, if 500 years of perfect worship wasn't enough to get in on merit, what on earth does that mean for our messy, imperfect efforts? What about our fasts and our prayers? It's the kind of question that kept even the absolute giants of Islam up at night. Which brings us to this really strange idea, tears on a day that's supposed to be all about joy. I mean, why would some of the greatest people in history be afraid while everyone else was celebrating? Let's get into that.
So get this, it's the day of Eid. Everyone's celebrating. And someone finds Hazrat Umar ibn al-Khattab, this absolute titan of Islam, a giant among the companions, and he's crying. And we're not talking tears of joy here. These were tears of pure fear. So of course, people ask him, Umar, what's wrong? Why are you crying on a day like today? And his answer, it just hits you right in the gut. He says, I'm crying because I have no idea if my fasts and prayers have even been accepted. He got it. Just doing the action doesn't mean it's been accepted by God.
And we need to remember who we're talking about here. This is the man the Prophet, peace be upon him, said that if he walked down a street, Satan would literally cross to the other side to avoid him. So if that guy was worried about his deeds being accepted, man, where does that leave any of us?
Okay, so if we can't just rely on our deeds, how in the world do we protect all that good stuff we built up in Ramadan? Well, the great scholars of the past had this amazing metaphor for it.
They said that blessings are like wild animals. Just stop and think about that for a second. Imagine a wild stallion. It's powerful, it's beautiful, but if you don't tame it, if you don't put it in a pen, it's gone. It'll run away at the first chance it gets. And that spiritual boost you're feeling after Ramadan, it's exactly like that. It's a wild blessing. And if you don't cage it, it will disappear.
So what's the cage then? How do you lock it down? It's one word, shukr, gratitude. But hold on, this isn't just about saying thank you and moving on. We're talking about active gratitude. It means you take the gift you were given and you use it in a way that makes the giver happy. You use your eyes to read the Quran, not to look at things you shouldn't. That's the cage. That's how you protect the blessing.
And believe me, you are going to need that cage. Because while you're celebrating on Eve Day, feeling all good about yourself, your biggest spiritual enemy is planning his comeback. He's launching a full-on counterattack.
Yeah, there's actually a narration that describes this. On the morning of Eid, when God grants forgiveness to everyone who fasted, Satan just loses it. He lets out this massive scream of pure rage. All his little minions gather around him like, boss, what's wrong? And he's just fuming. God forgave them, all of them. My entire months of work, it's all been for nothing. But does he give up?
No way. He looks at his followers and says, okay, listen up. Now is our chance. Go out there and trap them. Trap them with worldly pleasures, with distractions, make them forget. The goal is brutally simple. Erase every bit of progress you made. Make it like Ramadan never even happened.
And this is why we have to completely change how we look at Ramadan. It wasn't the finish line. It wasn't the final exam. Think of it more like a spiritual boot camp. It was the training.
Now, the real mission, the new semester of your life, is just getting started.
I mean, think about it. For a whole month, you practiced putting God's will above your own. You ignored your hunger, your thirst, your base desires. You learned what it feels like to be in control, to be disciplined, to feel that connection. But the real test is taking all of that and making it work for the next 11 months.
So, what's the game plan? What do you actually do? It's simple, really. Don't go backwards. Don't let go of those core habits you built. You've got to stay consistent with your prayers. You've got to keep that connection to the Quran going, even if it's just one verse a day. And you've got to try your best to live by the Sunnah, the beautiful example of the Prophet, peace be upon him. That's it. That's how you cage that wild blessing of Ramadan and make it yours.
So as all the Eid celebrations fade, the real question isn't about what you accomplished in Ramadan. The real question is what you're going to do now. The training course is over. Your real journey, well, that has just begun.